Many older men, once they cross the age of 60, begin to perceive their sexuality as something finished, inappropriate, as if it were left behind along with youthful passions and desires. Often, this shift happens quietly, without inner protest, as if it were the natural course of things. It seems logical. The body ages, desires fade, life becomes more measured. However, behind this natural fading may lie a significant loss, the severing of connection with one's own body and emotional life. Surprisingly, the absence of masturbation can gradually rob a man not only of intimacy with himself, but also of mental clarity, emotional stability, and the sense that he's still fully alive. Dr. James, who has been working with elderly patients for over 30 years, emphasizes that sexual activity isn't just a way to relieve tension. It's one of the key forms of self-regulation, especially at an age when other sources of joy or stimulation become less accessible. Regular masturbation stimulates the release of neurotransmitters, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, which are responsible for feelings of satisfaction, inner motivation, the desire to act, and mental clarity. Abstaining from this practice doesn't make a person calmer or more spiritual, as many mistakenly believe. On the contrary, it can lead to a gradual decline in cognitive function, apathy, a sense of emptiness, and loss of interest in life. It's important to understand, no one is talking about returning to the fiery sexuality of youth. It's about maintaining a sensitive, respectful connection with your body, accepting yourself at every age, with the abilities and needs you have here and now. Masturbation is not a shameful relic of the past, but a mature and conscious form of self-care. It requires no one but yourself, and that's its strength. It's a way to stay in dialogue with life, with emotions, with your inner self. If you feel like intimacy is long behind you, listen closely. It might just be a long silenced voice of need. It's not too late to begin. And beginning doesn't mean changing everything. It's simply a gentle gesture of recognition that you are still alive, still feeling, still in need, and still worthy of care. Even if that care is a warm, quiet moment with yourself. As we age, energy doesn't vanish all at once. It seems to drain away drop by drop, almost imperceptibly. Yesterday, you climbed the stairs without effort. Today, you prefer the elevator. You used to read with interest, take action, make plans. Now, more often, you catch yourself thinking, I just want to rest. And it's easy to blame it all on age, as if this is how it's supposed to be. But Dr. James has long questioned this idea of supposed to. He's seen dozens of cases where men, after restoring even a modest level of sexual activity, unexpectedly regained energy, improved moods, and a spark in their eyes. The reason lies in a hormone every man knows by name: testosterone. It affects tyrantsatsers, not only sexual desire but also vitality, motivation, muscle mass, and mood. Its levels naturally decline with age. But what's important is that this process can be slowed. The human body is remarkably responsive. It reacts to signals. When the body understands that sexuality is no longer needed, it reduces testosterone production. Conversely, even a small but regular level of sexual activity, especially through masturbation, sends the body a clear signal. This still matters, and the body responds. One of Dr. James's patients, 72-year-old George, came to him in a state of complete exhaustion. He complained of fatigue, a lack of interest in life, and forgetfulness. His lab results were mostly normal, except for low testosterone. But the cause wasn't purely medical. George admitted that after his wife passed away, he saw intimacy as part of his past and had completely given up masturbation. When the doctor gently suggested he try reconnecting with this part of himself, George was skeptical, even amused. But a month later, he returned a different man, lively, focused, with clear eyes. "I feel like a man again," he said. His testosterone levels had risen, but more importantly, his sense of life had returned. What matters is not how old you are, but how you treat yourself. Masturbation is not some adolescent habit or pointless indulgence. It's a tool a man can use to maintain strength, confidence, and inner calm. It's not about making it a ritual, but ignoring this part of life means denying yourself a natural form of support. Sometimes strength doesn't come from medicine, but from a quiet, honest acceptance of your own aliveness. And that begins with a sincere look within. When it comes to men's health after 60, most think first about the heart, blood pressure, joints. But there's one topic that's rarely discussed, though many fear it: prostate health. Frequent urination, nighttime bathroom trips, a sense of pressure. These are familiar issues for thousands of older men. Yet few realize that one of the simplest and most natural ways to help prevent these problems is regular ejaculation, including through masturbation. Dr. James is convinced a healthy prostate needs movement, needs to work. The prostate produces fluid that's part of semen. If this fluid accumulates but isn't released, it stagnates. That can lead to inflammation, swelling, and over time increases the risk of benign prostatic hyperplasia and even prostate cancer. Research from leading institutions, including the Harvard School of Public Health, has confirmed men who ejaculate at least 21 times a month have a lower risk of developing prostate cancer. This isn't magic or a marketing gimmick. It's basic physiology. Edward was 68 when he first came to Dr. James, deeply worried. He was having difficulty emptying his bladder, felt discomfort in his lower abdomen, and, most of all, fear. His father had died of prostate cancer, and now every symptom felt like a warning sign. Surprisingly, Edward, who otherwise led a healthy lifestyle, had completely cut out sexual activity. "It just feels inappropriate at my age," he said. Dr. James didn't push, but he gently suggested, if the body was designed to function, maybe it's unwise to suppress its natural processes. A few weeks later, Edward returned. His symptoms had lessened, his anxiety had eased. He had cautiously, slowly reintroduced a bit of intimacy into his life, not for pleasure, but as an act of self-care. After 3 months, his test results showed improvement. Edward was surprised and grateful. "I simply didn't know this could be important." Sometimes a simple action, something once seen as inappropriate or forgotten, can be a key part of prevention. Masturbation in later life is no joke. It's a health practice that requires no prescriptions, procedures, or surgeries. The most important thing is to honestly admit, even at 60, 70, or 80, the body still wants to live. And sometimes, the key to a longer life is allowing yourself to be natural. As we age, a person changes not only in body but in heart, literally and figuratively. And while older men may still speak about physical pain, they almost never talk about emotional pain. Yet loneliness, sadness, and emotional detachment often become quiet companions of old age. Dr. James has seen it many times. Men who were once lively and engaged gradually become shadows of themselves. They lose their sense of joy, disconnect from loved ones, and even avoid their own reflection. And it often doesn't start with illness, but with the rejection of an intimate, deeply personal part of life. Walter was 81 when he came in for a visit. He was neatly dressed, polite, but the spark was gone. "I just don't feel alive," he said, eyes lowered. His wife had died 7 years earlier. His children were grown, his friends scattered. The days had all started to look the same, and the nights, especially, long. Walter didn't complain of any physical pain. His tests were normal, but his eyes were dim, as if someone had turned off the light inside. When Dr. James gently asked about his sexuality, Walter waved it off. "Oh, I haven't needed that in years." Then, after a pause, he added, "Sometimes I feel like I'm just disappearing." Dr. James didn't offer miracle solutions. He simply said, softly, "Try being with yourself again. Not for arousal, not for technique, just to remember that you're still alive." A month later, Walter returned. His step was lighter, his eyes warmer. "I didn't do anything special," he admitted. "I just allowed myself to feel." My body responded in a way I didn't expect. First, there was embarrassment, then relief. And then I cried. Not from grief, but because I could feel again. He began calling his grandchildren more often, started listening to music he once loved. Not because of the act of masturbation itself, but because he allowed himself to be alive, physical, emotional. Male sexuality in old age is not just about physiology. It's about connection with oneself, the right to feel joy, to be in your body, to feel warmth. When a man rejects this, he's rejecting part of life. But when he returns, even cautiously, even tentatively, a light comes back into his world. Sometimes we treat the heart with pills, and sometimes with touch. A touch toward ourselves, with respect. Because to be alive is to feel. And if somewhere, deep inside, there's still a desire to breathe fully, it's worth listening to.